Welcome back to Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. We want to get right to the phones. We've got Chad Seay online too. Chad, how are you today?
I'm tired. One of my employees didn't get up this morning to open my aquatic center, so I had to be there at 5 a.m. And I did paperwork last night, so I stayed up too late last night.
You're like, I own this business, so I don't have to do that.
Oh, no. When you have employees, and anybody that has employees knows that
Yeah,
you're the janitor, you're the overseer, you're everything.
You're so whatever needs to be done.
Correct. Yeah. Then I had to get up and go welding on a broken attachment this morning, so I've already been welding this morning.
You've been a busy man.
Then I got to take water samples and get to the county.
Yeah. Sounds like you've already put in a day's work, Chad.
It feels like it. It really does.
All right. Well, so Chad, you actually wanted to come on and talk a little bit about the commissioner's court meeting that y'all are going to have today. What's going on?
Well, today at 6 o'clock at the 916 main building, that's the old bank building that's just to the north of the courthouse. We're having an open discussion about the tax rate and what it's going to fund at 6 p.m., and I encourage everyone to come do this. It's rare that we hold something for the public at 6 p.m., and I'm hoping if we have a good turnout that we can do this once a quarter, which myself and Jason, that's what we've been pushing for, and we need a good turnout so we can do this so people can actually, that work, can come voice their opinions.
Yeah. Well, I do, as far as, now I know y'all are looking at the tax rate, and I guess budgets actually officially happen after you have an official tax rate, right?
Correct. We have a tentative budget right now that I'm good with. I like what we're doing. The vast majority of anything in there is going to go to public safety. That's going to give about $2 million to the sheriff's department, because out of the entire state of Texas, we're one of the lowest paying departments anywhere. We train them up, and then LPD takes them, other counties take them, the schools will take them, and so we're losing all the training. So it is costing us by not giving them enough money to be there. And then another $500,000 is going to go to volunteer fire departments. We're expecting our volunteer fire departments to take their gear that's not even serviceable anymore to go fight some of these fires. And we've had some huge fires this year that have been dangerous.
So is that, let me ask you this, is that at the current tax rate that you're looking at holding on to, or is that with it going down to the effective tax rate?
There's kind of a split decision on this one. Now, we adopted, we haven't voted on it yet, but we put in the current rate so it mandatorily makes us have 2 budget sessions. Right. The first one we had during Commissioner's Court, no one signed up to speak on behalf of it. So we're having this second one. This will be the last one before we actually set the rate. Now, there's 2 different discussions on this. What we have from when I first took over as county commissioner, we had $23 million in reserves. After my first year there, we're already up to $35 million in reserves because of the cuts and saving practices that we've done. So we've got some money in there. The majority of that is going to go to capital expenses. That way we don't have to raise taxes to cover it. The state recommends we have 25% in reserves. At this year's budget, we're just right at $115 million, so that puts us having to have roughly $28 million in reserves. Well, we've got 35. We know we're going to spend down about $5 million off that 35, and it's a little bit over that. Now, that other $2.5 million, we can actually take that from reserves and put us what we have, what's recommended, and keep the effective rate. Some of the people on the court, they think that's going to hurt our bond rating. Our bond rating wasn't hurt when we were actually below what was recommended. I don't see why it's going to hurt us when we're keeping the recommended. So that's our 2 different discussions. The money's going to be there, and that's not even taking account that we're going to have a lot of money go back to our reserves that wasn't spent out of this budget. Due to COVID, we didn't have as much going on at the county. There was no travel. There was no training. So we're going to have a bunch of money go back to the reserves. So I think we can get everything done, be well within our bond rating we have right now, and keep our minimal reserves.
So one thing I was going to ask, I know that the city, and now that was from, we had Latrell Joy, we had Latrell Joy on to talk about what this was going on with the city, and she said that the amount of money has gone down 3 times from protests as far as taxes coming in from property tax. Has that been a problem for the county?
No, it hasn't gone down. I mean, it's very minor for the county. It just had to be refigured 3 times.
Yeah.
We got 3 different estimates on what we're going to have as far as our tax rate comes. Not our tax rate, but what our income from taxes would be. So our auditor has had to figure this 3 different times, and bless her heart, she has worked herself to death.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was just I was just going to asking because, like I said, we had the councilman Latrell Joy. She was in here and she said that had caused problems with the city trying to get all the numbers together as well.
Well, we got ours together, so we're happy. And I just want to let some people know, if we stay with the current rate on the average house, which they said the average house is $160,000, it would raise your taxes by $9.24. But what a lot of people don't understand, that's just for your average house. You take some of these large businesses, it's going to be thousands of dollars to us.
Yeah.
I'm not going to eat that. I'm going to have to raise my margins on my work or either on my product. So that's going to push my rates higher. If you take somebody like a food establishment, they're going to have to raise all their prices. So when you go out to eat, it's going to affect you more than just that $9. You're going to pay more in food, more in other commodities that you're going to buy. But I won't say food because at the store you don't tax on that. But if you have prepared food, you're going to pay tax on that. So just that $9 is going to affect you more than $9.
Well, and Chad,
take people like good example, the McDougal companies or the Beaton Bow companies. They have tons of property, and you think that they're just going to take it on the chin? Of course not. They're going to raise the prices of their houses. So that $9 it's a trickle-down effect. It's going to affect everything.
Well, let me ask you this, Chad, because this seems to be one of the biggest questions that I've heard from other people, including, Chad Hasty has mentioned this a lot of times. We've actually discussed this in breaks sometimes when he's not on vacation and being a loser. But this really doesn't seem like the year to be trying to push higher taxes on people. This seems like the year that you'd want to try to cut back a little bit because people are having to cut their budgets back, and maybe it's time that the city and county do the same thing.
Well, I'm always the effective rate guy or the no new tax revenue guy.
Right.
I mean, I pay more taxes than anybody on the commissioner's court, so I see what it does.
Yeah.
We have to live within our budget. I have to live within a budget.
Yeah.
And some people at the county, well, you can't treat the county like a business, and that's one of the statements that just perplexes me. I mean, you don't have just an unlimited amount of money. Of course, we can tax everybody out of it, but I look at it, it's coming out of my pocket. You just can't keep doing that. And I'm glad we do have one of the lower rates in the state, and I want to keep it low. That attracts businesses here.
Yeah. But for sure, you want to pay the now the other question that we've discussed is this the year to raise pay for the sheriff's department? And I know that's something that in Lubbock is going to be very popular. I think it's something that needs to happen. But with COVID-19 and the issues that we've had with that, is this the year to do that?
Let me ask you this, and same question. How many murders have we had this year? How many violent crimes have we had this year? How many thefts have we had this year?
Too many.
It's been bad, and it could get even worse.
Yeah.
I mean, there's riots going on. I mean, thank God we hadn't had anything like this in Lubbock, but we're going to have to make sure that we're well-funded. I mean, we're going to have it within our general fund to pay for this. I'm not worried about that. And a lot of people, they'll tell you, well, you should not be funding salaries out of our general fund. Well, what a lot of people don't know is with what we've done with our reserves this year, we're paying off 2 huge amounts of money. One is a $1.6 million IT contract that we've already paid it off, and it's the last year for it, so we won't be paying that anymore. And we have to upgrade our video visitation at the jail, or the jail commission's going to get on us. That's $1.3 million. Those two together are $3 million we're not going to have to come up with in the future.
Yeah.
So that right there pays for the increase in salaries for the sheriff's department and for our volunteer fire departments.
Okay, Chad, I haven't talked to you in a while, and I know that there's a lot of issues on the table. But
go for it.
One of the ones is we're talking about the jail, as well as possibly getting a new court, or how we're going to fix problems with that. With COVID-19, have we seen an increase in the amount of people in jail, and are we looking at potentially having to have a bond to have a larger jail?
Right now we're holding steady at about 1,200, and that's including federal inmates as well, which we get reimbursed for that. We've got about, it'll range from 50 to 70, so we get reimbursed for that. One of the problems we're having is the state is not taking their criminals. Once they've been sentenced, once they've been convicted, the state's supposed to come get these guys. We're holding them. Now, we're hoping the state's going to pay us back, but the likelihood of that is, we're the little brother of the state. The big brother's going to keep his money and not share it. That's kind of, we'll still try to account for it, but I'm not keeping my hopes up that the state's going to pay us back.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, how can they
those
keep
are no
from
longer
it? It seems like that would be there would be a rule about that. How can they keep from reimbursing you?
Well, like I said, we are part of the state. So in their mind, it's just taking money and giving it to another part of the state. So we've had issues like this before, and we've never got reimbursed for it. It's going to take the legislature to do something like that. And I don't see them just handing out money right now because they're going to have a deficit as well because our oil economy, our energy economy has gone down, plus the COVID stuff. Now, I do have some bright news for this Lubbock County. I don't know how this happened, but we got it from the comptrollers last month that our sales tax over this year versus last year is up 4.25%, and I just don't know how that happened.
Amazon.
I guess so.
Well, I mean, a year ago, we weren't having to pay sales tax on Amazon, and I think that went through maybe last October. So I don't remember, but Amazon and all online sales are now being taxed, and that tax is going to the local entities as well as the state of Texas. So I think that would have to be where a lot of that comes from.
Yeah, because you see Amazon boxes everywhere.
Yeah. All right. Well, Chad, we're running out of time. Was there anything else you wanted to go ahead and remind them of when the meeting is and anything else that you wanted to throw out there?
Our meeting today over your tax rate is going to be at 6 p.m. at the 916 main building. It's just north of the courthouse. We're not allowed to say courthouse annex because then we'd have to have sheriffs over there because it'd be part of the courthouse. So we call it the 916 building. So don't get that confused. If you hear annex, we are not legally allowed to say annex.
Okay.
And just be out there. You'll have to sign up, and then you'll be allowed to speak. It's set up for you can speak 2 minutes, but if it sounds like you've got a really good point to make, it's up to the judge's decision to let you carry on, which he hasn't been cutting people off.
Yeah. All right. Well, it sounds good. Chad, thanks for calling in today.
Oh, anytime.
All right. Well, Chad, we'll talk to you again soon, and we do have to take a quick break. This is Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin on News Talk 95.1 FM, 790 AM, KFYO.